Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. So I had done in the past years these videos where I would talk about my son who has an autism spectrum disorder. Sorry. I would kind of tell you like what it was like each year as we were going along. I haven't done one in a couple of years, but I wanted to give you an update. He's now 13 and he's turning out to be actually like a very nice young man, a very nice person, but he still has some issues, especially when it comes to school demands and schoolwork. And this is not anywhere near the scope of what you deal with neurotypical children. It's really quite extreme in those areas. And we finally did get into his autism therapy. Like he finally got his turn. So I want to tell you how that's been going. So it's going to be my update for autism at 13. And I just want to say, if you like the video, please hit like, and thank you for leaving me a comment. And thank you also for your support on Patreon, which keeps my channel going. Also, I've been doing the keto diet and I have been losing weight. I lost about 5.5 pounds so far. Actually, maybe more by the time I upload this video. And I want to let you know this has been really helpful to me. It's from BioTrust. It's called Keto Elevate. It's MCT oil powder. It has really great taste. Tastes like creme brulee. It doesn't clump. It dissolves easily in your coffee or whatever you put it in. And what's great about this is it's all caprylic acid, which is readily turned into ketones. So it's great for if you're getting into keto and you want to avoid the keto flu. This will help you over the hump. Or if you're already doing keto and you need a boost of energy at some point, you're hungry and you need some ketones. Ketones are in here. It's only 3 carbs per serving, and I really love this stuff. So I wanted to tell you about it. And so please check out the link below. And if you do order through the link, you will get a discount. So, okay, you guys, my son, Gunnar, he's 13. And you know, I've tried to talk about this many times. I've made videos where I ended up like scrapping the video because every time I try to talk about it, I kind of know what people are going to think. And I'm like, I don't even want to hear it, because my son, he's on the autism spectrum, but he doesn't have the like Asperger's kind of stereotypical Asperger presentation. And he is not a classic autism, like the counter autism type either. He actually has a different behavior profile, which is called PDA in the UK. Here they have PDD-NOS, or they used to. Now it's all just ASD umbrella term, right? But I guess he would have gone under PDD-NOS. But in the UK, in some places, they have a more specific behavioral profile classification that they call PDA, which stands for pathological demand avoidance. This is why I stop when I make the videos, because I know someone's going to be like, oh, your son is just a brat. And what do you mean pathological demand avoidance? What, like he's lazy? It's not like that. It's really something specific. It's actually, to make it very simple so you can understand, okay, you know what a fight or flight reaction is. It's fight, flight, or freeze. And it'll happen usually when people are under extreme circumstances that put them under a lot of stress and duress. They will either launch forward and fight, they will run away, or sometimes they'll freeze. It's like the deer in the headlights. And that is a neurological phenomenon that happens. Like you have your sympathetic nervous system that'll, you know, wire you up and like give you adrenaline and you know, do these things so that you can cope with the threat. And then you have the parasympathetic, which will relax you. It's the rest and digest side of it. And sometimes, you know, when you're under like a huge amount of stress, you'll have this fight or flight reaction. So it's just a neurological thing. Now, the problem here, sorry about the noise outside, but hey, I live in the city. The problem here is that with kids with PDA, any kind of a demand causes a stress, and the stress will cause a fight or flight reaction, which is why they avoid the demands. It's not that they're lazy or they're out to get you, or they're trying to make you miserable, or they just don't want to do the schoolwork, or they're just stubborn. And it's not oppositional defiant disorder where they really have a problem with authority. It's really a fight or flight reaction. Once you understand that, it's going to change the way you look at their behavior, because if you don't understand that, what you're going to see is they're just not doing what they're supposed to do. They're being oppositional. Why are they dragging their feet? Why aren't they getting it done? Oh my gosh, put the toothbrush in your mouth. That's how you're going to feel. You have a 13-year-old, you give him the toothbrush. Why are you even giving him the toothbrush? Why do you have to load it for him? You did it, you gave it to him, and he's standing there with it, like looking at it. Now listen, you've brushed your teeth every day of your life since you were 2. Just put it in your mouth. When we talk about demand avoidance with a 13-year-old, it's usually like, go clean your room. Like, why haven't you cleaned your room? Why haven't you finished your homework? Those demands are way bigger. Those are like, developmentally appropriate at that age, much larger, require a lot more independence and self-sufficiency. We're not talking about those kind of demands. We're talking about the little stuff, like putting on your socks. Why is a 13-year-old freezing up with the task of putting on a sock? Why does it take 25 minutes? You know how hard it is to deal with as a parent. I don't think you do, unless you have a PDA kid, but that's how it is. I mean, for the homework, you're gonna, with a kid, normally they might do some of it and then try to get on their their devices and get on their phone and like avoid doing it. But with the PDA kid, like, they're not even holding the pen right. They're like, all of a sudden they can't use a pen anymore, like, or they're just completely shut down and they're not talking. And my son will like hide behind the curtain. Like, he'll seem totally fine and normal. He's on camera with me and we're doing something outside, and then put a task in front of him that causes a fight or flight, and all of a sudden you have this, like, you have the 4-year-old back, or you see the autism. You see a lot of stimming, hiding, and with the curtain's in his mouth, he's upside down. And it's really bizarre because he's getting so big. He's like a young man. Like, why are you still acting this way? Well, it's the fight or flight. So it's a really big problem because, he doesn't want to be this way. He doesn't want to give people trouble. He really wants to succeed in school. He wants to be in this school. He wants to stay there because he's been kicked out of many. He doesn't want to lose his friends. So he wants all those good things. So then why doesn't he just meet the demands? Because it's fight, flight, or freeze. And for him, it tends to be flight or freeze, not so much fight. So he just completely freezes up. So this has been a big problem. And he also has fibromyalgia, by the way. So like when he has pain, which is also brought on by stress, could be lack of sleep, could be time change, could be they were on vacation, now they're going back, change of schedule. It makes it worse for his fibro. And then when he's not feeling good, and then the demand of school, like you can imagine, the freeze. So there's a lot of missing school, or being there, not going into class, being in class, not doing the work. Oh my gosh, so much stuff. Anyway, he finally like got in at the Miriam home. Now, he was diagnosed at 7, and we didn't even get a call from them until he was like 12. I did a video and I said he finally got his turn for autism services. They just sent us a letter. Then last year, it was around February, like just before the pandemic started, they told him, okay, you finally have your turn. So guess what? After we waited, like, what was it, like 6 years or something? He gets his turn, but it's during the pandemic. So they did it on Zoom, which is ridiculous. You cannot do behavior therapy on Zoom. So what it basically was just me on Zoom with the educator, and she's telling me how to implement a reward system, which it's all good stuff. I mean, it's not like I don't know about reward systems and token economy and all that, but it's not addressing like that psychological issue or whatever neurological issue of the fight, flight, or freeze. So if you're up against that, then you can have charts and rewards, but it may not work at all if the person completely like freezes up with it. It would be like the equivalent of a panic attack. I mean, if you've got someone who has panic attacks whenever they're in a certain situation, having the reward chart might really not work. They might just be like, well, I'm not going to be able to get the reward because I can't deal with my anxiety. So I did use some of those reward charts. I mean, it kind of helps a little bit, but it also aggravates me because then I'd be trying to get him to do the behavior, and I'm finding that even with the reward, like I'm repeating, and I'm like, you get a reward if you do it, you get points if you do it, and it's still not motivating. So it's super aggravating for me. And the other thing was, when he did do them and he got the points, he's supposed to cash them in for rewards, but it was like he wasn't at all keeping track of the points, and he wasn't cashing them in. And if it was money, he would like, you might give him the money and he'll just give it to someone else. Or the other thing was, once I started to pay him points, which he right away understood means cash, he started to expect points for absolutely everything, because it was points for doing the morning routine and getting to school on time, The school was doing their own thing with him, supposedly. Then it was points for homework. It was points for like personal care and grooming, points for being off the PlayStation or whatever, the media on time and going to bed. Now he's starting to ask for points for everything. Could you bring that bowl into the kitchen, please? How much do I get paid? Would you please come out with me? I want to go to the store. How much do I get paid? Did you brush your teeth? How much do I get paid? So it was like literally all day. Like if I said, we're going to daddy's place, how much do I get paid? So, I can't pay him to do everything all day. And then even then, if I do pay him, even then, sometimes it didn't work. So I got really fed up. And that was all we got out of the whole first part. That's it. It was just them telling me again how to deal with him. And I was like, please observe him. You guys need to see this. You're never going to get anywhere with me telling you what he's like. And then you try to give me parenting advice. Like, I'm so fed up with that. You have to see in person this behavior. It is so bizarre. And like the rest of the time, he seems like a totally fine, regular person, somewhat, right? I mean, there's some issues, but he seems fine. And then all of a sudden you have this absolutely bizarre behavior. Please come and observe. And they're like, oh, it's because of the COVID, we can't go in your house. I brought him there like twice, once to meet them and once to do a session where they like made a schedule. But none of that stuff's going to really work unless you address what's triggering this fight or flight business. So finally, after like that educator decided to send us to someone else, she like closed that dossier or whatever, sent us to a social worker and another educator. And I was like, oh, wow, that was it, and yeah, they hadn't even made a treatment plan. So they basically just like sent us to someone else. And then they brought my hope up again because they were talking about really making a behavioral treatment plan, as in helping him with whatever is causing him these behaviors. And then I went up there and we went up for the first meeting, and I came into the room and I put my cloth mask on. I took off the medical mask, put the cloth mask on. I told them, listen, I have a medical exemption and I really just can only tolerate the cloth mask. After that, they emailed me. First they emailed me like everything was fine. Then I get a call from the guy's supervisor and she's like, well, because of COVID, we can't really have people here. Total BS. I mean, really, she's trying to tell me they're going to do it on Zoom. And I said, listen, is this because I told you I have a mask exemption? They had told me I have to provide medical proof. I sent them the link that they provide us, the clients, saying that if you have an exemption, you don't have to provide proof. You have to be 6 feet away and all this stuff. And I'm telling them, like, you don't have a right to discriminate. I told them I'm even going to wear a cloth mask. I sent them screenshots of the information that they gave us. And I was like, you guys should know this. You can't refuse. Actually, I didn't say you can't refuse. I just sent them screenshots and I was like, it says that I don't have to provide the proof. Although one of their educators already knows what my condition is. But I didn't feel like talking to these people about it because I don't know them. But the irony, I have an autism spectrum disorder. This is a place that deals with autistic people. They will let my autistic son in with no mask. Everyone's totally comfortable with it. But me, I'm autistic. They won't let me come in with even just a cloth mask. And they're even considering discriminating against us and making him do his therapy online. Well, I talked to the supervisor. I told her I felt it was really discriminatory and it would be very, like, a big disservice to my son. Anyway, she ended up agreeing that, like, okay, it's fine. You can wear the cloth mask. So thank God, because I thought, oh no, they're gonna brush us off again. We're gonna be on Zoom. It's gonna be a disaster. So we started doing sessions with one of the educators. We did one where we kind of got to know them, and we did one where they did the therapy, and I can see that he's absolutely a great person. Gunnar loves him. The session was so fun, so I know Gunnar's going to want to go back. It wasn't like, some kind of grueling, horrible ABA thing. It's so far so good. I don't know what kind of result it's going to give. I asked specifically for him to have help for his anxiety so he doesn't do the fight, flight, or freeze. And so far it seemed like what he did was create a very positive environment and then insert the unpleasant task at intervals. So fun, insert the task, fun, insert the task. And Gunnar did do the task, which was some homework, but in the 20 minutes that he was on task, he was supposed to read something and answer actually, he had several things to do. He read a small paragraph and answered one question with me at his side, coaching him the whole way through. So after I told the guy, well, yes, he can do his homework. He does do it at home too, but I don't want to have to be there next to him, coaching him the whole way through. I want him to be able to cope with this independently. And the same for the other tasks like getting dressed or whatever it is. So far, I really like the guy. I'm looking forward to our next session, and I'll let you know how it goes. And this is basically where we're at 13. He's an emotionally healthy, happy, fun person. He's a good guy. You know, my son, he's a good person. But he has a severe problem with fight, flight, or freeze, and it's still causing him trouble. And maybe we're finally getting help. And other than that, like, he has friends now. He has a couple friends at school. He has a friend online. So in that area, it's things have improved, you know. And on the whole, I still feel fairly positive because he's so emotionally and even spiritually healthy. In spite of these problems, I feel like, you know, we're going to find a way to work through this, and we'll find something. It's not a disaster. He's not heading down like a horrible path. I just really want him to get the help for this stuff. So there is my update. I hope that information is useful to you. And that's it. You know, thanks for liking the video and for your comments and for your support on Patreon. And please also check out the link for Keto Elevate if you're interested in doing the keto diet. This stuff is really great. I love it. And that's it. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.